Welcome to the Family Geekery Podcast, a podcast for geeks from a family of geeks. We talk about video games, comic books, and anything else geeky. I'm Chris.
I'm Amber.
And I'm Danny.
And this week we're going to stick with the theme of back to school, and we're going to be talking about our favorite educational software / video games. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Mathematical.
Had to make me think.
I had a couple that came right to my brain.
I hope so. Memorable stuff. But before we get into the topic,
Geeky Weeks.
let's talk about Geeky Week, starting off with Amber. What'd you do geeky this week?
I've been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals. Very, very turbulent ranking going on. I'll get up to Diamond and then demote back down, and then go back up to Diamond and demote back down. But we power through. You know, I've got high enough that I'm gonna get the rewards. I'm pretty sure. So, it's just a matter of ego, I guess now. And also I've ban watching the Critical Role Campaign 2, which is the Mighty Nine, because they teased a animated show based off of it, you know, because they have Vox Machina, which is their Campaign 1, and they're making a Campaign 2, and I know that one's, like, really popular. At least I know, like, a lot of the characters are pretty iconic, so I figured, like, you know, 400 hours of content I can probably consume before the show comes out. I'm on episode, like, 7 out of, like, over 100.
Wow.
Wow.
So
You watching it on
we'll
YouTube
see.
or?
Yeah, I'm watching it on YouTube. For the most part, it's, like, just something I'm having on while I'm doing other things, which is nice. But then every now and then, you know, they do a little battle, and you have to lock in and pay attention to that. So yeah. Or if I, like, hear them start laughing and I zone out and I'm like, okay, I'll rewind that, and, you know, YouTube tells you, like, the most replayed sections.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, something pretty iconic must have happened here. So let me go back and pay that some more attention. So yeah, I've been really enjoying it. And I'm excited for the show to come out.
So they're taking the campaign and creating a animated series out of it, just like the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Yeah.
are they going to find voice actors for it?
I don't know. You know, I'm sure they could find them somewhere. But it is really funny because I knew that 2 of them obviously are in Marvel Rivals. But then I was like, surely there's another, right? And I didn't really know any of them before. But then, yeah, Doctor Strange is also voiced by one of them. And now every time he speaks, because he's the one that I see the most in games, because Black Widow's never played. and Thor, I don't think, sounds very much like the Critical Role characters that he voices. So, but every time I hear Doctor Strange talk, I'm like, oh my god, that is this guy from Critical Role. So it's a little off-putting. I'm like, stop it, go away.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a TikTok I just saw, and the caption was like, the only voice actress I can recognize in every show, and it's like Mabel and Louise and
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and it just showed all her roles in it. Thought it was cute.
She's iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but that's it, because obviously watching multiple hours of content is taking up time.
Cool. How about you, Danny?
Well, I played some Flip 7 with my friends. Brought
Fun.
it to school with me,
Nice.
introduced them to it, and they were really, really into it. And then I started watching Criminal Minds because I always wanted to start it. And my roommate's watching it, so I was like, okay, this is a sign, so I started watching it. So they have a lot of seasons too. So
Yeah, it's been on a while.
yeah. It's interesting. But other than that, not too much. Getting ready for school, so That means less geeky stuff, unfortunately.
Speaking of Criminal Minds, the only thing, well, obviously now I know like a little bit about it, but I've never seen it. But all I can think of is the Mad episode where it was Criminal Minecraft.
Oh.
So it was Criminal Minds in Minecraft.
That's cool. All right, let's see. I saw a couple movies this week. I went and saw Weapons. You guys heard anything about Weapons?
I've seen that it exists.
It does, in fact, exist. And it's pretty good. It was, I guess, touted as kind of like a psychological thriller horror type thing. The premise is all the kids except for one out of a elementary school class disappear all at the same time.
Oh.
And by disappear, I really mean they like, this is in modern day, so they have like Ring cameras. All the kids just ran out their front door and ran, and nobody knows where they are.
Wow.
So it kind of follows. It's neat. It follows different points of view of all the different major players in the game, movie. The teacher, which is played by Julia Garner.
Oh.
Classic.
And one of the parents. It follows one of the parents through the days preceding and the days after. It follows the principal, same type of thing, before and after, and then everything kind of intertwines and comes together at the end. And yeah, it's really good. I recommend it. And then another movie we saw was called Highest to Lowest, which is the fifth pairing up of director Spike Lee and master actor Denzel Washington. And it's a great movie. It's an adaptation of a Japanese movie from the 60s, which was an adaptation of a novel.
Oh.
And it's basically a ransom situation. In this particular version of it, it's all set in New York, and really I've heard the term, the setting or the city is the main actor. In this movie, that is exactly it. Like, if you ever want to experience what New York feels like, just watch this movie, because Spike Lee, obviously big New York native and big New York sports fan, he made that the main character, and but it's set in Manhattan. Music mogul son gets kidnapped. He's supposed to be buying out his own record label from the investors with his life savings, but now he has to decide, is he going to pay the ransom or, continue on with the business plan. But it's not that cut and dry. There's a lot of stuff going on. I don't want to spoil it. But very good movie. The music in it was excellent. Had some cameos by some musicians like Ice Spice and a couple others. I guess the bad guy, if you will, is, what's his name? It's not Tupac. He wasn't.
Well,
he wasn't
obviously.
Available. It's who's the Rocky guy? Something Rocky.
Oh, ASAP.
ASAP. Yeah, not Tupac.
Mom was telling
ASAP.
me earlier. Yeah, Rihanna's husband.
Yeah, so ASAP Rocky, and they did a good job playing off each other, him and Denzel Washington, when it gets to the kind of the pivotal face-off scenes. But great movie, great music, and other than that, picked up another Idle game. It's time for the Idle report. I think this one's called Revolution Idle. And yes, you just sit there and watch the numbers go up, but but it's a very interesting concept, because it's a bunch of circles that incrementally, fill. And as they do, instead of in most Idle games, you have like one thing that gives you a little bit, and then you unlock another thing that gives you more, and then you unlock a bigger thing that gives you more and more. Well, each of these circles, they just multiply by each other. Instead of giving you more, they multiply the smaller ones with the bigger ones. So it's a bunch of big numbers getting bigger and bigger. And what's neat is of course, the achievements along the way that you kind of have to target the way you play the game to to trigger the achievements. So good time killer. Good. It's funny that an idle game could be a time killer, but
Is it mobile?
No, I got it on Steam.
Oh.
But yeah, fun stuff. Hits that dopamine drip.
Yep.
And I think that's about it for me. So let's talk about Back to School episode number 2 here. Last week we talked about our favorite teachers from pop culture and media. This time we're talking about our favorite educational software titles or games, etc. Could be websites. I don't know. We'll find out what you guys picked. I'm going to be, as usual, representing the old school. Hopefully you represent your own time period. But you want to just do the same thing we did before, round robin.
Yeah.
Just kind of drop one as we go.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll start off, since I'm the eldest. And I'll go all the way back in time. And this may or may not be on your list because it's a game that's been around for 50 years or more. And it's a little game called Oregon Trail.
Oh.
I was thinking about that, but I knew someone more appropriate would probably talk about it.
So someone that played it on a black and green screen. So I think going back in time to elementary school, playing with a TRS-80 computer, this is probably the first game that I ever remember. And when I say game, most of the stuff that you did on the computer, you programmed yourself, and then you ran it. Occasionally, there'd be something that you could load in there, like a Snake game. Snake's been around for a long time. But Snake is just, a square that goes around the screen and gets bigger, right? Or a rectangle.
Mm-hmm.
This had, like, graphics and text.
Right.
And that was not common at the time. So it was fascinating. I'm sure it was intended to be educational. I think that was the intent of the company that made it. And it spread throughout basically every computer lab, in the 70s and 80s. And you're supposed to learn what it was like to travel the Oregon Trail from, Missouri to Oregon. And find the pitfalls along the way and experience life and have to prioritize your strategy of how to survive. And very iconic. It's been ported over many, many, many times, and I think it still exists today in various forms. We played the card game version of it at one of our family game nights years ago. There's app versions of it for iPad, mobile, and there's been crazy adaptations of it like Oregon Trail. Have you ever played Oregon Trail? Not Oregon, but Oregon. Like
I've seen it.
Like body organ. It's pretty fun. Yeah, that's about it for
Good one.
Oregon Trail. What do you guys recollect about that one?
I played it a lot in middle school. I remember I had a computer class, and if we finished our assignment, we could, kind of mess around, and the computers had Oregon Trail on them, so I would play that every now and then. I remember fording the river, dying of dysentery, getting a rattlesnake bite.
Right. Running out of food.
Yeah. I remember, I think the hardest parts were having the replacement parts for the cart.
Oh, yeah. Making sure that you buy them ahead of time in the cities when you go. Yep. Good stuff. It's amazing that it's endured the same basic premise, same concept. The graphics have gotten better. But it's basically the same game it's always been. And that's a real tribute to how revolutionary and how good it was at the time.
Yeah.
All right, who's up next?
I've got one that I think is equally as iconic as Oregon Trail.
Okie dokie, let's hear it.
Publix Preschool Pals.
Good old Publix.
computer game.
For our listeners that aren't from southeastern United States, Publix is a grocery store, much like your Kroger's or your, I don't know, Food Lions or, a nice high-end scale one.
But yeah, Publix Preschool Pals, I remember, was one of my little discs in my little disc holder that I would plug into my computer and play. And I remember it was like somewhat educational, it taught you about like food groups and like how to grocery shop and eat your vegetables. And then there were also like coloring book pages. So you could make like weird purple carrots if you wanted. But I spent probably a lot of time on that game. It was probably one of the earliest video games I remember playing.
And I'm very certain that it was free, with the purchase of $50 worth of groceries or something like that. We got it free at the grocery store. So, shout out to Publix. Thanks for the free stuff.
Shout out.
And thanks for the BOGOs.
You made the list. All right, Danny, how about you?
For my first one, I picked I guess it's more of like a software, not a game. I feel like it's relevant to us. I picked Scratch.
Nice.
Because we'd always do our hour of code. And
we use code.org for that.
Oh. I thought we used Scratch at some point.
Probably. But when we were younger.
All the code ones. We did them. So that was always easy and fun. And we got our person walking in a 360 circle. That's about as far as we got.
Yeah, actually one of the, as you peruse the lists of the history of educational software, Logo comes up at the top of the list for being something from late 60s or early 70s, and that's basically the Turtle programming language that I know I had.
With the one with the actual turtle that I was obsessed with?
The one with the actual turtle came later, but it used the Logo language. I think at the time that Logo was out, it was just like a square or a rectangle or something. But same basic premise. So yeah, Scratch is just an iteration of that, just much easier to understand format. Easy to learn, hard to master.
Oh, I loved it. I would use it in school in my gifted classes. And the cooler thing about that is it's very visual and very easy to understand. So like the loop would literally be like a loop, and you could like slide the things in there and then tell it how many times to repeat.
Right.
But it also like had like a bunch of, visual assets to, just kind of plug in and be like, okay, this thing is this. Here you go. Or I guess you would have to pick your assets from online, but it was very easy to like get them in there, I guess.
Yeah.
Everything was really color coded and nice.
There's a YouTube channel I follow, and it's basically a college age girl who's going to college for coding, and she has tutorials on coding and game design and stuff like that. And she did she recreated a game in Scratch, and it was quite a ordeal to take a game that she knew how to make in something like, Game Maker or Unity or something like that, and decide purposely to make it in Scratch to see if it was even feasible. And she did it. She did a good job. Had some limitations, but it was pretty entertaining.
Nice.
All right, back to me.
Yeah.
So next up, we're going to come into the 80s with a game called 7 Cities of Gold. And 7 Cities of Gold was created in 1984 by Ozark Softscape, and it was published by Electronic Arts. And
EA Sports.
And EA at the time, so this would be in the days of the Commodore 64 and the Apple II and the Atari 16-bit computers. EA was iconic in the sense that if you went to buy software, everything came in a box, right? You had like a rectangular box that had your diskettes in it. EA came in a big square folder, basically. So it's bigger than a CD, but smaller than an album. So somewhere right in the middle there, maybe 6 inches by 6 inches. Big, square cardboard facing front for, a nice big graphic, nice big title image, and then it opened up on the side much like an album cover, and the discs would come out that way. So you could see immediately that you're buying an EA game, and this is one of those, just published by EA. And Seven Cities of Gold is intended to teach you about the Spanish explorers of the 16th century. You're basically started off with an amount of resources in Spain, and you have to use whatever it is, gold or whatever it is, whatever your monetary thing is, to buy to outfit your ship. You have to go hire some dudes. You have to buy some food, and then you buy some stuff to trade goods, I think is what they called it. And then you would sail off to the New World. You would land somewhere in the Americas, and then what's fascinating about it is it was procedurally generated, or randomly generated, which was kind of odd for the time. And it would be the Americas, but what existed in the Americas would be random. And you'd go there, you'd set up missionaries, you'd set up forts, you'd go visit with the natives. And when you visited with the natives, you'd go from the overland map to basically like a zoom-in map, and you'd go talk to the chief of the native tribe, and you could either trade with him, peacefully, get some beads, and you got to send the beads back to Spain. I guess Spain wants beads. And then, or you could plunder. You could just outright attack them and steal their gold, steal their beads. Or
put those Western ideals in the children,
right,
ASAP.
Or you could attempt to convert them to Christianity. And so as you progress through the New World and you visit these different native things, your reputation would follow you, which is another kind of new mechanic for a game of the time. So if you had plundered several places, the next one that you go to, they're just going to be like, nope.
The natives will remember this.
Yeah, they're just going to straight up attack you. And if you plunder too much, then you'll get a notice from the king that says, be nicer to the natives, but keep the gold coming. And that was, I guess, a historical sentiment, that was historically accurate. But the intent was to learn about the colonization of the New World, or exploration, and then conversion and all that good stuff. But it was a great game that I enjoyed. I don't know if I learned much from it other than, I guess the overall premise is you're looking for the lost cities of gold, and there were some hidden, like in the mountains and stuff. And if you found them, they had a lot of gold. But it's just a neat way to kind of learn about history, and in a time when learning about history wasn't necessarily entertaining like it is today.
Is that one that you had me play when I was a kid? I know maybe you had me play like Sid Meier's games.
That was Sid Meier's Colonization, which is probably a lot better of a game. Of course, coming from Sid Meier. And it is, you do learn about stuff too in that one.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a great game as well.
Nice.
All right. What's next, Amber?
Danny took my scratch, but that's okay. You're welcome. I'll talk about another game that I played a lot of as a kid. And I think it's a family staple, and that's Stack the States.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
On the mobile store.
Good pull.
Yeah, on my little iPod Touch.
Yeah. Did you learn anything from that game?
I think so, because by the time it came to figuring out what all the states were in middle school, I already knew them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that one was cool because it was you had to balance the states to stack up to a certain point without having them fall over. And, the states are all really weirdly shaped. But to, like, unlock the state, you had to answer a question about it. So, like, there were, like, different modes. It was, like, just identify the state, or say the state capital, or, like, the state, like, nickname, I think was one of them.
Oh, yeah, yep.
And that one was probably the hardest one.
The Keystone
I think-
State.
Yeah, I think I got close to memorizing all of the state capitals, and I don't know any of them now. But, like, a lot of them I would, like, kind of, like, remember. But it was really fun because you could get really easy ones like Colorado that are squares, or you would get, like, Alaska, and just your entire screen would be, like, weird, and then...
Oh, yeah.
Because it has, like, the islands on it, too.
Right.
And weren't they size accurate?
They were, like, mostly size accurate. I don't know. Like, Alaska's a lot bigger than a lot of them. Maybe Alaska was, like, more the same size as, like, Texas. But yeah, like, you would,
Don't ever
answer
say
a
that to
question
the
about...
Alaskans.
Why?
They take that seriously.
What, the size of the state?
Yeah. They say if they broke their state in half, the half would still be bigger than Texas.
Wow.
So, yeah, don't ever compare Alaska and Texas, too.
No, but in the game, it was probably the same
Yeah, I know.
size. Because you would probably just win if you got Alaska.
Yeah.
But then you would, like, answer, like, a bunch of questions, and you would, like, have Vermont and, Rhode Island. And it's like, those are tiny. Those are not stacking me anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really good one.
Yeah, very, very popular, very successful game. And I don't know if it was you, Amber, or Danny, or both, were beta testers for one of my first App Store games that actually was successful, and that was the States and Capitals quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
And there was a very short period of time where I knew all that stuff really well because I had to test the game so much when I was making it. But yeah, it had similar premise with the states to capitals, capitals to states, and then it had states to shapes. Match the state to the shape, or match the shape to the state. So I had you guys beta testing that to help me out with it, all the while making you just smarter and smarter. So you're welcome.
Yeah.
I think I remember that one more.
All right, so is Danny up next?
Yeah, and I have a good one. I don't think either of you will know this one, but this was a staple in elementary school for me. And it's called Some Dog.
What?
Some dog. Sounds like a math.
Wait, I think I remember it.
Is it a math game?
Yeah, it's a math game, and they had like a bunch of mini games, and basically everyone in the class had an account. And when you were done with all your work, we would all play, and like there was like a whole ranking system, and everyone had their points. But then you also had an avatar, so the more points you got, or like coins, you could like buy clothings and hair. So you like make your avatar. And there's like this one, it was cake monsters, and you had to, most of them were just like, oh, they flash a like plus or minus question, and if you get it right, you get to like drop a piece of cake, or you like drive your car further, and it's whoever gets like the highest cake wins. And it was good times.
That's cool. They always hook you in with being able to decorate or design.
Yeah.
That's how they get
avatar. You. Yeah. And then you can like team up. Or I think it was randomized on like a server on like who got in the games. So you would like, if someone in your class got in your game, it was totally random, and you'd like look across the room and be like, oh my god, we're in the same game. And
That's
then
cool.
you would try to beat them. I always beat people, so.
And was that
Nice.
So that was obviously internet based. It was a website.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we had a lot of stuff like that, especially in like French class. I don't know, I feel like in my high school French classes we would have these like online
Yeah.
like game things that weren't really games. They were just questions.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. back to me. Let's see. Let's go to the 90s now.
Whoa.
And we're going to have a little
Let's.
game here called Capitalism from 1995. This is a recurring theme of this particular podcast also. Capitalism. And Capitalism is a business simulator. And it was intended as a game. But as it turned out, it was so realistic that they ended up using it in both Stanford and Harvard, as well as many
Wow.
other universities across the country, as teaching the premises of, running a business and all the stuff that goes with it. So you start off by getting a loan, and you can either start with less money and have a harder road into it, or you start with more money and have an easier road into the business, but having a longer, more interest building up on your loan that you had to overcome over time. And then you would, your company would be on the market also. So people would be buying and selling shares of your company along the way, and you could lose, control of it. There'd be buyouts, and you could buy out other companies. And you're either gathering natural resources and using, manufacturing them into something, or you're just going straight to retail and you're buying stuff from, ports and selling it in stores. And it's just very open-ended as to what kind of company you want to build, which is fun. That was always my favorite part. But then in addition to that, there's also, I guess, campaigns like challenges where it would put you in the middle of a company and say, hey, this company is a, dairy farm company, and it's losing money. You have 10 years to get it profitable or something like that. So then you'd have to make your decisions and buy and sell and revamp and see if you can turn a profit in those 10 years. So very neat. They had a sequel a couple of years later, Capitalism 2. And then I think still today there are developers that make something, I forget what it's called. I think it's Capitalism Lab is what it's called. And it's just a modernized version of it that includes, obviously in the 90s.
Crypto.
Yeah, in the 90s they didn't have, modern video game systems and stuff like that you could create and stuff. So, and AI and VR and stuff like that. So, it's just modernized the product listing of things that you can manufacture and sell. That's but it is educational in the sense that this is where I learned how profitable furniture is.
What?
Because you go buy some land, have some trees on it, cut the trees, throw them through a factory, all of a sudden you got couches.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. You start with $7 worth of trees, and next thing you know, you're selling a $700 couch to some fool that needs a couch. So it's a good business model. Buy trees, make furniture. It's that easy. It's that easy, folks. Everybody should do it.
Let's do it. But then the market is too saturated with couches. So
Yeah, well, there is integrated into the whole system, of course, is supply and demand. And not only supply and demand, but supply and demand. And the third thing is, or there's actually 4, quality. So if you can research how to make things higher quality, and that will help your sales. And then the other is brand recognition. So you can spend money on advertising to make your brand a big name. And once you establish a brand, like in toothpaste or something like that, then it's easier to sell, like makeup or something under the same brand name. So it's very neat. Good game. All right, Amber, what's next?
I'm going to go with an interesting one here. You could argue this may not be the most educational, but I'm going to go with Plague Inc. For one, teaches you geography because you're staring at a map the whole time. But another thing is you kind of get, a feel of how, like, mutation and stuff like that happens. You get to pick, your symptoms of your disease and all that, and you have to unlock this thing to get that one next, and it keeps stacking on each other. But it's also, like, a very logical game because you have to plan out where you start, how, based on how it's going to spread, which countries are related to which ones, for travel and stuff like that. But also, like, you want to kill everyone and you want to beat the cure, but you can't kill the people that are infected too fast, because then you're not infecting the entire world.
Yeah.
And it's a fun balance, with a dark twist that, teaches you about medical terms, I think.
Mm-hmm. The big strategy game. Makes you think.
Mm-hmm.
And have you played this more board game style or computer version?
Computer. Is there a board game?
Is there? Or am I thinking
I played
something
it
else?
on an app.
Well, there's that game Pandemic.
Oh, that's
where
what I was
you're
thinking of.
trying to cure a disease.
I get those two
That
mixed
was a
up.
fun one. Yeah.
No, we're trying to kill people in this game.
That's right.
Yeah, but I think they did make a spin-off game where it's the opposite, where you're trying to cure a disease.
Mm.
Yep. Fun. All right, Danny, you got another one?
Yeah. A more relevant one. And that's Kahoot.
Oh.
I guess it's not like a game. It's more of like a what?
Oh, it's a game.
Someone sets up. Well, it's like not a like you
It's
have to
a
make
whole
you gotta make
experience.
your own game. And this was big in middle school and high school for me, because the teacher's like, okay, we gotta study, and we're like, okay, let's play Kahoot. It's the best way to study. And then, yeah. I mean, it's a pretty good way, because, I mean, you gotta get the answer right, and if the teacher puts in good questions, then you'll learn your stuff while trying to beat everyone else in the room.
Yep. Big competition. Especially because you can see the rankings after every question.
Yeah, you can
And
see when you're the one
someone's
person.
on. Yeah.
When you're the one person who got it wrong, and everyone's like, who did that?
That's one I'm not familiar with. I
Yeah,
learned
it's
something.
good.
And then the teacher's like, you better not have picked circle, guys. And then you're staring there like, oh no.
But it's a good one. I'm pretty sure it's still popular.
Oh, it's got the best soundtrack of all time, too.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, I got one left here, and inadvertently, I got it a different decade each time. So we are in the 2000s now.
Wow.
And this little game called Brain Age from 2005. Do you remember Brain Age?
I don't know.
So Brain Age was it might have been one of the launch titles for the Nintendo
Oh.
DS.
I remember this.
And when the Nintendo DS came out, of course, being the newest handheld in its style, you got the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color. And when the DS came out, it kind of ventured into the, this thing is a little too expensive to put into some little kid's hand. So a lot of adults bought it with the intent of letting their kids play it, but they ended up keeping it and playing games themselves. So I think Nintendo picked up on this possibility and made games that were targeted more for adults. They had an eye test game on the DS, and they had several of these that were all intended to train your brain and keep it healthy and young, right? So the brain age part of it was, as you finish these challenges or quizzes or tests, it would tell you what your brain age was, and you obviously didn't want to have like a 90-year-old Joe Biden brain or something. You'd want to have, a young, healthy
podcast.
brain.
Friend of the
Friend of the So I remember playing this, probably mostly on the toilet, if I am going to admit where the majority of my Nintendo DS playing.
That's when your
took
brain
place.
is most stimulated.
It's the only time I was raising a bunch of kids. It's the only time I had free time. Only time I had privacy. No privacy in these here parts. And just remember playing it and thinking, Man, I got a 40-year-old brain. Jeez, I'm so old.
I remember the eye test one more. And it would always tell me that I've got some crazy old eyes, but really I was just a kid with non-fully developed motor skills. It's like your eyes can work as well as they can, but can your fingers hold the stylus in the correct way?
Right. But yeah, then as soon as this was popular, they had many knockoffs. Big Brain Academy, I think, was the next one that was very popular on the Nintendo DS. So it kind of started a revolution in gaming / education on handheld devices, and then it went away pretty quick. But I think it was also very popular because in Japan, this premise of keeping yourself healthy is a lot more important than it is to us crazy Americans who don't care about that stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even games now, like on the ads you see, it'll be like a very simple puzzle, like those like little word games or something like that, and it'll be like, oh, your brain age, and it'll be like the easiest puzzle ever, and then they'll fail it 7 times, and it'll be like 98.
Right? Yeah.
Can you do better?
And it shows a little, cartoon picture of a grandma or something.
Yeah.
Yep. Very cool. You got another one, Amber?
Yes, I'm going to end it off with a series of games. And I hope I'm not misremembering, but I know for a fact that I played at least a couple of these, and that would be the Jumpstart games.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, they
what the
had
heck?
they had them for like every single grade, I guess, but it was a video game, so kids are going to play it. But I remember logging mad hours into Jumpstart 3D Virtual World, now known as World of Jumpstart.
Yep.
And that was an MMORPG for children.
Yes, it was.
And it was probably like the coolest thing ever for someone who's not 10 years old and can play, the real ones like Wizards 101. Because we were serious about that for some reason. Can't play Wizard 101 until your 10th birthday. I guess I decided for myself you probably would have let me play that. But yeah, World of Jumpstart. Unfortunately, I think it died a couple years ago, but it will live on forever in my heart.
Yeah, you actually got your start on Jumpstart Baby.
It really?
That's the one that you logged many, many hours in on your mom's lap.
Oh my god, I remember it.
With the little peekaboo bear and...
Oh my god, I remember this.
Yes.
Oh, that's memories.
Yep. So lots of hours in Jumpstart Baby. Then Jumpstart is a huge company that made lots of games. It had was it the frog with the mascot, or is that Leapfrog?
Well, there's Leapfrog.
Yeah.
But I have a question. I don't know if you remember this game. I was trying to find it. I don't know if it was Jumpstart or Leapfrog or something else. But one of them, you could I think the characters were animals, but they would do roller skating, and you had to race scooters or roller skates or something. And I don't remember what it was.
That was one of those, yeah.
But I remember playing that one a lot. I think there was a pizza making one also in that same kind of thing.
Can't go wrong with pizza making.
Yeah, no. Jumpstart. Man, I didn't remember Jumpstart Baby, but looking at that, I remember it clearly.
Yep.
Sorry, did I steal yours, Danny?
You stole one of mine.
Okay.
All right, Danny, you got another one?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of just a broad topic, but a lot of the main kid show channels had their websites with their mini games on it. Like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, they all had their websites and their mini games, and Those were always really fun.
I'm surprised you're not mentioning Pop Tropica.
I thought about that one, and at first I realized I didn't think it was that educational, but then I realized, like, it literally, like, there's, like, you learn, like, museum stuff and other stuff, but
Yeah.
I played that for fun, not for education.
Yeah. The one I remember more, and I think Pop Tropica used to be on this website, it was Fun Brain Arcade. And that was the one that was kind of like a board game marker, like you'd like spin and then move and then you'd play like a mini game and you had to pass the mini game to keep going. And there are ones on there that were like physics based and math based. So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of in the early years of personal computing, a lot of software companies that were making educational software because that was their gateway to selling a computer to a family, right? This is in the days of families buying their very first computer. So when you buy your very first computer, it's much different than today when you're just buying a new computer, right? You have to justify, what am I going to use this for? And before the days of internet and banking and all this stuff that we do now, there had to be some business. Was it a business related? Was it education? Was it for gaming? And no parent wanted to just downright say, yeah, I'm going to buy this thing just so my kids can play games, right? It was always centered around education. It made sense. Now, if the games were educational and entertaining, and this is the earliest days of the term infotainment or edutainment spun out of this time frame, then it was a win-win. So these companies were just going hog wild on making the stuff. So the Jump Start was one of the big ones, but before that there was Reader Rabbit. I don't know if you ever heard of Reader Rabbit or experienced that. We might have had demos of that in your CD-ROM collection. There was Math Blasters, and even things like, have you ever heard of Mavis Beacon Teaches Typing?
No.
Maybe.
So it was a software title that had a picture of a very professional woman on the cover.
I've seen memes.
And it said Mavis Beacon typing teacher. And it was basically a typing, teaching program that was used in a lot of schools. It was used at home. And years later, they found out that Mavis Beacon was just a fake name. The company decided they needed to humanize it and put a picture of a person on there and put a name to it so that people thought, okay, I'm learning from somebody, not just from a computer. I always thought that was neat because, growing up before this was debunked, you wonder, who is this lady and how did she get famous for teaching typing, right? I can understand.
So funny.
I'm buying Michael Jordan versus Larry Bird basketball, and that makes perfect sense to me. It's, the two greatest people of the time. But Mavis Beacon, like, who is she? And
she must be an expert.
And why is she on the shelf right next to, all these other games?
And now we have stuff like Roblox.
So we just had a slight glitch in recording. I will find out once I'm editing where it is that it cut me off. I think I was talking too much and it just booted me out, or Amber booted me out and didn't tell me.
Yeah. Yep. The kids only like Roblox these days, where they can play dress up and role play and get
bullied. Cyberbullied.
I was gonna go with preyed on by adults.
There you go.
abcmouse.com.
Oh yes, another very famous education software service.
If any listeners can tell me what game I'm thinking of, I don't think it's Jumpstart, roller skating, or skateboarding, or anything like that. I think it was animals, but Leapfrog is not helping me in Google. So please send us an email at podcast@familygeekery.com when you do the research for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I thought it was a Jumpstart version, like one of the spin-offs or something. But yeah, we'll find out. But I think that's it. Any last add-ins or honorable mentions?
The integer game you made me?
Oh, you remember that?
Yeah. So I can learn my negative numbers.
Adding and subtracting negative integers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Hey, whatever it takes. I will go that extra mile for you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, so I guess that'll wrap it up for this one. We had fun with our back to school series. And we'll have to come back next week with something new. We do have Retro September coming up, just to forewarn you guys. I think this year we're going to venture into the Sega Genesis.
How will we do that?
Oh, I will hook you up.
Nice.
So look forward to that. Prepare
and
your...
there's 5 Tuesdays in September this year.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
That means I
I'll
gotta
probably
play
limit
more
it.
games.
I'll limit it to 4 games.
We can do a wrap-up.
Yeah. But yeah, that's coming up. Retro September is coming up. As Amber mentioned last week, Family Spookery is coming up in October. So we got all kinds of fun stuff coming up. This is our favorite time of year. But that's going to wrap
It's
up.
the most wonderful time of the year.
It's one of those. It is, in fact, a time of the year. But that's going to wrap it up. We thank you, as always, for listening. Go ahead and check out our socials. Check out the YouTube channel. See what's going on there. If you have just returned back to school, hopefully you've got a great teacher and meet some new friends. And have a great school year. But that's going to do it for this one. We thank you, as always, for listening. And until next time, peace out. And geek out. Thank you for listening to the Family Geekery podcast. For more information, visit www.familygeekery.com. Don't forget to subscribe at your favorite podcast provider. And until next time, peace out and geek out.